Okay, is the sound okay for everyone?
Yep, sounds good to me.
Okay, awesome. Oh, I know what I need to do. Mr. Grayson, I have made you a co-host. That should allow you to share your screen. I don't know if you want to test that out before we get started, but it's up to you. But I did make you a co-host, so I think that should take care of everything.
Perfect, perfect. Okay, yeah, let me give it a shot. Thank you.
Oh, you're welcome. And if you need volume with it, when you share it, you have to click the button at the left.
Okay, yep, I can see it sharing. Perfect.
Okay. Oops.
Just jumped off and invited about 20 more people to join in of my clients.
Great, great.
Kendall, did you want to just give it another minute and then we'll start? It'll be 5 after at that point. I think you may be talking, but you're muted.
Hello again. If you all want to let us know where you're tuning in from in the chat, that would be great. Glad you all could join us. We're excited. Okay, Kendall, we can go ahead and get started. Kendall, you're muted. Okay, you all, as our vice president is unmuting, we're going to go ahead and get started. Can you all hear me? And I'm trying to change the screens where it goes to speaker view. Monica, let me know if it's doing that, because I don't think I did something correctly. But yes, good evening to everyone. Welcome to DFW Metro NAACP. Today we are presenting Breaking the Chains of Bad Credit and Financial Bondage, and our guest speaker is none other than Mr. Joshua Grayson. This particular event is being hosted by our wonderful economic opportunity team, which our leads for that are Madam Treasurer, Monica Miller, and our Mr. Vice President, none other than Kendall Marshall. And at this time, I'm going to ask our Vice President, Mr. Kendall Marshall, to unmute, and I am going to pass things over to him. I have shared in the chat, if you all are not connected with DFW Metro NAACP, we definitely want you all to connect, because our economic opportunity team will be offering more events such as this in the future. And also mark your calendars for September the 2nd. The housing moratorium has been extended, and there is information out there about rent relief, not only for our renters, but also for landlords. And we have a host of speakers that are going to be joining us on September the 2nd. So we definitely want you all to tune in for that. And even if you're not in our area, there will be resources and information for outside of the DFW area that you can utilize or pass on to someone else. But again, look in the chat, connect with us at DFW Metro NAACP.org. And then I'm going to drop our digital business card in the chat, which allows you to get to everything DFW Metro. Mr. Vice President Kendall.
Yes. For some reason, I was on mute, so I didn't hear any of all of that was going on. You just announced. Sorry about that. But I'm excited about tonight, and I'm excited to have a good friend of mine, Joshua Grayson, to be here to present to us tonight concerning credit and financial planning and how to break those chains that sometimes we find ourselves in. Sometimes it's not our doing, right? Sometimes it's someone else's doing. I deal with that a lot in my business, doing accounting. Sometimes it's your spouse doing, and sometimes it's your own doing. But we're here tonight to figure out and find out how to break those chains. And so I don't want to further the time, so I want to go ahead and let's have our speaker to come in and take over.
I appreciate it. How you guys doing? You guys excited? Listen, I'm excited to give you guys a bunch of information. I talk a lot, so if I get a little bit too dragged out on the timing, by all means, feel free to cut my time. But I first want to give God the glory for having me here in the journey that He has brought me through. You know, when you're going through, it hurts. It hurts, you know, but as time progresses, you start to see the direction and the visions that He's been showing you, the desires that you've had on your heart. I also want to thank Kendall and obviously Crystal. Thank you guys so much for the opportunity to come on here to share not just my journey and my experience, but how I've been able to help hundreds of clients globally with my credit restoration company, freeing people from debt, bondage, and basically just educating them. That's really what it boils down to, everyone, is just educating them with information, you know, information that is not shared with us, that needs to be shared with us in the school system or in the workplace, right? Because that's where the majority of our time is spent, you know? So I'm just honored to be on here and to share this wealth of information I'm about to deposit here to you guys. I want to share my screen here. You guys can just give me some thumbs up so I can make sure that you guys can see it. One of the things I would love to start off with is basically a synopsis of what credit restoration is. I know you guys have seen it, or better yet, let me ask, how many of you guys have heard of a credit restoration company or credit repair, or have seen it around on your social media or through your family and friends? You guys can unmute. I'm fine with it.
Yes.
Yes. Especially more now than ever, right? So credit restoration, you guys, is basically just that. I really don't like to use the terminology repair. Oftentimes when things are repaired, it can be broken again. I like to say restore, because I really believe that we have to bring you back to the original intent of what you should have had and the direction of where you're going. So I like to utilize the terminology restoration. And what I like to start off with by saying is myself. Man, I've messed up my credit, you guys, so many times. I'm very transparent with my journey. There's no shame in my game. I've went from a 460 to a 600, back down to a 400, back to a 700, back down to a 500, up to the 800s, back down to the 500s. And I like to tell you guys, one of the main things is when you know what you know, right? you can always fix your problem. So I don't mind sharing my journey with you guys of how I've been evicted numerous times and had evictions on my credit reports growing up. I've been on my own for 20 years. I moved out my mom's house at the age of 16. So I've went through a lot of early parts of pains, right? Evictions, repossessions, being terminated from a job, a few jobs, losing my vehicles, stressed out, trying to figure out how I'm going to pay for my car note, not having the money to do so, living in places as well, being evicted from my housing, or even just having credit cards and utilizing the cards and helping other people out, and them maxing out the cards, and now I'm in trouble because the area of what I told them to spend and what they end up spending, is far beyond what I've given them the opportunity to try to get them back on their feet. So this whole credit process is not just actually hitting home. Some of you guys have probably experienced some of this, right? Anything from collection items being placed on your credit report, to repossessions, to bankruptcies, to child support, from child support to maybe student loans. Student loans can be deleted from your credit report. So I like to first start off with showing you guys a testimonial from just a few of my clients here. It's not long at all. I'm going to play this video here so you guys can understand how I went from over and over again, a 400 credit score to an 850, from an 850 down to a 400, because once you know the laws and you understand the power with the laws that is in your favor, you can get that legally deleted from your credit report and go on to do the things that you will love to do. I've done that and went and built my company. And after I fixed myself, by the grace of God, I've been able to go out and help hundreds of clients internationally. My company, New Credit Law, is currently in 41 states, Canada, Kuwait, and Hawaii, helping clients delete debt from their credit report, increase their credit scores, and allow them to get the high limit credit cards, invest into rental properties, or Turo, which is a rental car company, or Airbnb, for those who are not familiar with Airbnb as well. It's a rental housing company. So without further ado, just a short synopsis, a minute of my client.
With New Credit Law, thanks to my boy Joshua Grayson, let me tell you guys, it's been an amazing experience. I've been with them only 3 months. My credit score has increased by 121 points. 42 deletions gone.
New Credit Law about 11 months ago. Within that time frame, I have roughly about 14 deletions, and those include credit cards and student loans. They freed me up over $100,000 in credit card and student loan debt, and increased my credit score by 187 points.
Thanks to New Credit Law, in just under 60 days, I've had 4 things deleted and removed off of my credit.
How hype I am about my credit score going up. With New Credit Law, it's went up 86 points, and I've been with it for 3 months.
Fico.
So I just want to show you guys quickly, that short video showing clients' testimonials of, it doesn't matter where you're at, okay? I don't care if your credit score is a 400 or your friends and family is a 500, or maybe as low as it can start at 300. We all have to start from somewhere, right? We all had to start from somewhere. And maybe you've started and again was like me, you messed your credit up and now you're just trying to get it back, to that 700 or to that 800 goal. So no matter where you're at in the process, credit is very important to living in the United States. I want to start off with some questions. All right. You guys can jot the answer down in the chat, or you can unmute. One of the first questions I had here is, I want to start off by basically explaining first what a credit score is. Okay, you guys can take some notes. I would suggest to, by all means, grab a pen and a paper or your notepad and your phone. I'll give you about 30 seconds to go ahead and do so, because again, I want to share some information with you guys that you can go back and share with your family and friends. One of the first things I like for you guys to review is, what is a credit score, right? So a credit score is a numerical expression that is primarily based on your credit report. This information is typically sourced from the 3 major credit bureaus. The reason why I emphasize 3 major credit bureaus, because technically there's 4, okay? But there's 3 that we utilize, meaning as consumers, we as consumers in America, when we're trying to get approved or apply for any form of loan applications. Excuse me. The main 3 that we're going to utilize, you guys, is Experian, TransUnion, and Equifax. So you guys can jot that down. Experian, TransUnion, and Equifax. My parents are immigrants. Okay, so, you know, I'm Jamaican. They came here to America. We didn't know anything about credit. We didn't know anything about the process of credit. And when they became citizens in America, we still didn't know anything about credit. You know, so they, just like most, you know, everything is education in school, especially when you're coming from a third world country. You know, they're very big on that. But one thing that we did not know is that we were going to need credit. You know, that there's actually a credit report and score that we're judged by in order to get housing, obtain housing, to obtain a vehicle, to obtain credit cards, and for most, to start a small business. The main 3, to do any of those, even if you're trying to apply for electricity, most people don't know that your credit is pulled to apply for electricity. Even when you obtain a vehicle, they pull your credit to give you your vehicle insurance. Your vehicle insurance is also judged by your credit score. So the list goes on and on, right? And these are things that we don't know, right? When you're applying for an apartment, they're judging you by your credit score. This is why you need a security deposit. But if you have a high credit score, you can get the ability to have that security deposit waived. You can also live off the benefits of having better credit, where they might give you some concessions to have free rent or a discounted rent for a certain amount of time. That's one of my favorite ones that I utilize, you guys. I mean, I'm in downtown Dallas and I live in the most expensive building in the DFW Metroplex. And if I told you guys how many weeks they gave me free, you know, and it's all because of my credit score, right? So one of the main things that I love about credit is that don't just look at credit as a thing where, okay, I have my house, I have my car, I have the credit cards, now what? There is so much more you can do with credit. But the first thing is you have to understand who are the 3 bureaus that is being pulled for your information. Right here, I call this the secondary bureaus. What is the secondary bureaus? You guys, the secondary bureaus are, you guys can jot this down as well, as you can see. The secondary bureaus are third-party companies, right, that report your information to the credit bureaus. So any debt that you have that is reported to the secondary bureaus, LexisNexis, Innovis, SageStream, CoreLogic, ARS, there's over 147 third-party bureaus, right? But these are the main ones. So I just put the main ones up here for you guys to see, because this is very important. You see a lot of credit restoration companies, they say, or you see clients so much say, hey, I've been with this company, they haven't deleted my debt. I was with them for such and such time period. They haven't deleted my debt. Josh, what do you think about that? Oftentimes when debt is not deleted from your credit report, it's because it has not been addressed with the secondary bureaus. So these are, secondary bureaus that actually have your information that they send to the 3 credit bureaus. So once you utilize the secondary bureaus for one of 2 things, the first thing you want to utilize a secondary bureau for is to delete your address from these secondary bureaus that is attached to bad debt, okay? You can delete your address and information that is attached to your bad debt with these secondary bureaus, especially when you're talking about employment. Right now, I don't know if you guys are aware, they're actually running your credit nowadays for employment, even to also compensate you on moving you to a better position in your workplace, right? So if you're looking to obtain a raise, nowadays they're running your credit to see how is your credit report. Because oftentimes better money does not mean that it's going to fix your problem, especially if you don't have financial literacy. Financial literacy is the main background to you handling money correctly. So employers are now running your credit to see if you're even worthy of them giving you a pay raise, because you may have the academic qualification, but if you don't pay your bills on time when they run your credit, because remember, that's what that 3-digit number states. That 3-digit number is basically telling them, hey, this person is not paying their bills. So you may have the qualification and the credentials, but if your credit score is not showing that you qualify, then the person who has a higher credit score but lower qualifications can take that position due to where they're at currently. So you want to be aware of that. The next thing I'd like to show you guys here is actually the question part that I have for you guys. It says, what is not a tip for managing student loan debt? All right, what is not a tip? You guys can jot your answer down in the chat, or you can unmute. I like participatory events. So I have no problem with you talking back to me. You guys have the answers here. The first answer is pay off higher interest loans first. B would be use an automatic debt program for your payments. C is pay only the required payment each month. D is research consolidation and refinancing options. So A, B, C, or D. What is not a tip for managing student loan debt?
Maybe C.
C, okay. Any other answers? Listen, there's no wrong answers here, okay? I see y'all face that. Some of y'all over there looking like you're sweating already. You're like, I think you're like, I think it's B, but it's okay. Shoot your answer, because that's what this is about, right? This is your opportunity to learn so that you can gain the correct information. I heard C as one answer. Any other answer?
So you're referring only to student loan, right?
Yeah, student loan debt. What would be your answer?
What?
A, B, C, or D?
Well, it depends on how many loans you have, but since you don't have an S on there for plural, there has to be only one loan, student loan, not loans.
Yeah, but it's a tip. So the strategies usually will still work even if it's more than one.
Well, you definitely need to pay off the higher interest rate loans first.
Okay, so someone.
But you have to pay them all at the same time, some kind of way. You can't skip that.
A and C. The answer is C. Who said C?
I did, because it said the tip was what is not. The keyword what is not recommended, and it's never recommended to only pay the minimum amount. If you only pay the minimum amount, they are going to earn every penny of interest profit that they intended to gain.
Great job. Who is that? I don't see you on my screen.
That is Madam President.
Great job. That's a great job. Let me put you on gallery so I can see you guys a little better. That's a great job. Yeah, you're absolutely correct. And that's what credit is really about, you guys, is that oftentimes when a loan is given, they don't really care about the money that they gave you. They care about the interest. Okay. So your credit score really controls the interest. And that's what you need to understand about your credit score. Even if you have a 700 credit score, you need to understand the negotiation power that you have, because the interest is where they make their money, right? Mm-hmm. If you have a 800 credit score, your interest, if you understand the power that you have, oftentimes should be the lowest interest in the industry. But if you don't, then you'll be in trouble. And that's what I want you guys to be aware of, is that when you're at a 780 or 790 or higher, these lenders don't tell you what to do anymore, you guys. Okay? You have the negotiation power. You now tell them what to do. But we're not taught that. You know, we're still sitting on the fence, timid, like, okay, that's a good deal. No, don't take that answer as a good deal. Let's push that power and say you want a better rate. I do it all the time. Anything that's given to me, you guys, I've never accepted the answer that they gave me. I use the answer as they gave me as a gauge to see how much power I can really leverage, right? No matter the amount. If you're saying that you're going to give me 2%, that means I could probably really get 1% or 0.5. If you so quickly said 2%, right? That means I got some more power in there, which cuts down on the interest rate, which cuts down on more money being kept in my pocket and less money being given to them. So you're absolutely right. Right here in the second sentence, it says, if you are able to pay more than the minimum monthly payment each month, even if it's just a little bit, right? Because you want to cut down on the interest. So great job. Good answer. So I'm going to scroll down here because I want to get to some of the meat. Okay. Here's one of the notes that I would like for you guys to jot down as well. The FCRA. What is the FCRA, right? Some of you guys probably heard of it. Some of you guys probably have not. This is how I was able to delete 88 negative accounts from my credit report, you guys. My credit score was at a 467, 478. I deleted 88 negative accounts from my credit report, increasing my credit score from the 467 range to a perfect 850. I have one of the top credit scores in the nation. 1% of the consumers in America have an 850 or 830 and higher credit score. It's little less than 30,000 people. I think right now the census is showing that there's over 300 and maybe 30 million Americans now. So the reason that I was able to leverage that is by understanding the FCRA, okay? The FCRA, as you can see, the Fair Credit Reporting Act, is 15 USC 1681, is a U.S. federal government legislation attacked to promote the accuracy, fairness, and the privacy of the consumer's information. I'm about to share some really good stuff with you guys. Because you're probably saying, Joshua, that repossession, it was mine. I did it. I lost the job. And you've paid these companies just like I have made the attempt to, until I realized something, you guys. I realized something very important. I noticed that once the account went negative, the debt still remained on my credit report even after I paid them what was owed. This was the biggest thing that bothered me, because when I would go to apply for something else, obviously they would see that negative debt on my credit report. And then I would ask them, they would say to me, Joshua, yeah, unfortunately, your application is denied. I was like, denied? I don't have any bad debt that I owe, right? And they would say, yeah, we see that you paid this repossession. We see that you paid this collection, but the bad debt is still being reported on your credit report, even though you paid the debt. This is what caught my attention, you guys, and made me start to study. Because I was throwing away money out of integrity, not even knowing that there's another party who's in control on the opposite side who does not have integrity. The credit bureaus. And these third-party companies that's reporting the information. So what the FCRA does, it protects us as consumers from information being reported on our credit report. How? Basically by what I highlighted. It promotes the accuracy and the fairness and the privacy of the consumer's information. Those three main points is how I've gotten debt deleted from my credit report, all 88 negative accounts and hundreds of clients globally. By understanding that if it's not accurate, if it is not fair, And if my privacy as a consumer is being exposed, the debt can be removed from my credit report. No one teaches us this. Once I started to understand this, I continued to study and I went and got triple board certified for not just credit repair, credit restoration, right?
I forgot that they're throwing my toy away. I forgot that they were throwing my stuff.
I think the next thing here is your consumer rights. The reason why you can leverage the debt, the laws from being deleted from the credit report utilizing the FCRA is by understanding your consumer rights. Your consumer rights is how debt really get deleted. So no matter what credit restoration company you go to, you have to understand your consumer rights. Okay? Whether you want to repair your own credit, whether you want to help other people repair their credit, you have to understand your rights as a consumer. What is your consumer rights? Your consumer rights is basically, as you can see here, your consumer protection is the practice of safeguarding buyers of goods and services to the public, right? So everybody in the United States, over this 329 million people that's here in the United States, we have consumer rights, where if we purchase a goods or services and it's not sold to us in the correct manner, we can utilize this law to get debt deleted from our credit report or be funded back, as I'm pretty sure some of you guys experience, back to your bank account, right? How many times have you guys paid for something and they didn't give us what we paid for, right? So your consumer rights protect you. And basically what I've highlighted here, it says against unfair practices, right? So that's how you'll be able to get not just what you paid for back, your money back, but also get debt deleted from your credit report. Collections is a big part of things that's being placed on your credit report. Collections can decrease your credit score anywhere from 30 to 110 points per collection item. Yeah, I'll be shaking my head too, Pat. You know, it's crazy. I'm telling you, once I started to study this stuff, I was like, oh no. Because what I started to do, you guys, I started to leverage the law to protect me. You guys follow me? Because I was paying all this money to these companies and this debt was not only staying on my credit report. Watch this. When you pay the debt that is being reported negative on your credit report, you also reactivate the debt for another 7 to 10 years to now be reported on your credit report. This is how they're getting over on us. And this is why it's so vital for you to understand the FDCPA, which is one of my favorite laws, the Fair Debt Collection Practices. The Fair Debt Collection Practices basically, in short, states that no debt, no collection item can be placed on your credit report. It's illegal to do so. Once the account is abusive, deceptive, or listed under the Unfair Debt Collection Practices, basically going back to the FCRA, where your privacy is exposed, where the item may seem to be deemed as showing too much of your information. The reason why that's so important of understanding the FDCPA is by knowing the statute of limitations. What is the statute of limitations? How many of you guys have ever heard of the statute of limitations? Okay, I see Kendall, Sandrian. Okay. How about you, Vicky? Yeah, okay. The statute of limitation is also utilized for your credit. How many of you guys knew that the statute of limitation was utilized for debt on your credit report? Raise your hand. Nobody, right? That's why this stuff is so important. Because if they were teaching us this in school, right, we would be so much further than where we are. Like, we're figuring this stuff out now as adults. The statute of limitation, in short, is basically a dispute that initiate legal proceedings from the date of the alleged offense, whether civil or criminal. What does that mean, Joshua? Let me show you guys. I call it the DSOL, the debt statute of limitation. The reason being is because whenever you enter into an agreement as a consumer with a lender, there's only 4 ways legally that you can do so. You can do it as an open-ended account. You could do it as a written contract, which is more popular in America, right? It's usually a written contract. You can do an oral agreement. They told you something, and then, right, that happens often, right? They tell us something to shut us up for that moment. And then we're like, hold up, we'll go back and say, listen, you said this, right? And we're heated at that moment. Usually whenever you have to get us to say that you said this, it's not usually a calm situation. A matter of fact, let me just speak for myself. It's not usually a calm situation when I go back and say, this is what you told me, right? So an oral agreement or a promissory note. That's another method of how debt can be deleted from your credit report. The top 10 states in the United States that have the highest amount of debt, you guys, is Florida, Massachusetts, Wisconsin, Virginia, Nebraska, Idaho, New Hampshire, and Utah. So if you're living in one of these states, I would suggest move out of these states and go to a state that really care about educating you financially, right? Because we've heard the term birds of a feather, right? So if you're in people who don't know, if you're around people that does not know how to handle money right, then, you know, bad communication corrupt your good manner. You know, if the bad communication about what they're teaching about money is not good, then it's going to corrupt your mannerism of how you handle money. I have all 50 states here listed of how debt works with the statute of limitation. The statute of limitation debt works like this. Again, from the last date that was reported, depending on what state you're in, it is illegal for them to sue you for any debt that you owe. And this is why it's so important for you to understand the debt that you're residing in, right? Because if you look here, let me move this gallery down a bit. Let's take a glance at Alabama. As you can see, Alabama states, if it was a written document, it's 8 years. If it was oral, it's 5 years. So after 5 years, on the 6th year, guess what, you guys? Can you see? It looks like some of you guys are squinting. Do you guys need me to blow it up more? Is that better?
Yes, but it looks like you were pointing at Montana for a minute. What are you?
Alabama here. Oh yeah, excuse me. Yeah, Montana on the right. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
So, but you were talking about Alabama, right?
Yeah. So Alabama is 6 years for written, and Montana is 8 for written. So you see the state difference?
Yes.
So if it's in the 7th year on a written contract, they can no longer sue you for that debt, no matter how much the amount is. It could be a $500,000 mortgage. They can't come after you. If it's oral in Montana, it's 5 years. Here in Texas, as you can see, all across the board, it's 4 years. After 4 years of an unpaid debt, they can no longer come after you for that debt. It's illegal for them to sue you or harass you for the debt in Texas. Whether it's open, promissory, written agreement, or oral, doesn't matter. Knowing the statute of limitation is very important during the credit restoration process, especially when you've hired a credit restoration company, because it is possible that during the investigation from the credit restoration company, that these collection companies will send you some type of documentation to settle the debt or take you to court, which is also illegal for them to do. Why is it illegal? Because guess what? You don't even own you. How you don't even own you is because if you pull out your social security card or if you take a look at your birth certificate, you are owned by the US government. The moment that you are born in the United States or you become a citizen, you have given up your rights as being your own human. Your parents have written you over to the US government, and now you are their property, attached with this social security number. So if you flip the back of your social security card over, you will see that the social administration office now controls and owns you. So if you're not a human being anymore, you cannot take on debt. So the debt in the agreement is not now between you and them. It is now between you and the state. So when you look at this USC codes that I just broke down and showed you 2 slides up, the reason why they have to remove these accounts from your credit report is because you don't own the debt. You don't even own you, so you can't own the debt. If anyone,
Hey,
y'all,
Josh,
yeah,
could you just repeat that one more time about the Social Security thing? I just one more time.
yeah, I got you. So the moment that you're born in the United States, you no longer own you. Your parents or whoever is your guardian at that moment, right? You are now written over to the United States corporation to own you. So if you look at the back of your social security number, you're now a property of the United States. So any of you guys have your social while I'm on the phone, while I'm on the call with you guys, you can pull it out as I'm speaking and read the back of your social security card. If you have your birth certificate, you can do the same thing. So you'll see that you're not in control of debt. This is why it's so important, even when it comes to taxes, because taxes is your number one expense living forever, right? But when you file taxes under an LLC or any type of business entity, that business entity is government owned, is government funded as well. But if you file taxes under a trust, a trust is not controlled by the government. It's a whole different structure. So this is why this is so important to understand debt that is being placed on your credit report and how that works in your favor to remove debt from your credit report. Because as you study these USC codes that I was showing you guys a couple slides up, you understand how you can get debt removed legally from your credit report, whether bankruptcy, repossessions, medical bills. Medical bills are usually in violation of your HIPAA rights. Whether it's a cell phone, a mortgage, child support, you name it, you guys. If it's on your credit report, there is no law that states that debt has to be reported to your credit report, whether positive or negative. Let me say that again. There is no law that states that debt has to be reported to your credit report, whether positive or negative. The credit bureaus do it because they choose to. Okay, so that's very important. What I like to do is dive into the 5 key components of how to understand a credit report.
Joshua, before you move to the next slide, there's a question I see in the chat. It says, would that be similar to the strawman law from Alexis? Alexis, feel free to come off mute if that wasn't answered for you.
Okay, in the chat, let me see. Hey, Alexis, yeah, you can unmute.
Yes, when you're referring to the Social Security card and, we don't own ourselves, they own us, is that similar to the strawman law?
Yeah, very similar to the strawman law, because again, we're not in control of us, right? So I see you doing your homework. I don't see you on my screen. I was trying to find you. I'm sorry, but I hear you, but I don't see you. But yeah, are you a lawyer?
No, me and my husband, we just studied the laws a bit, but we didn't fully understand how it works.
Yeah, wow, that's great. That's amazing. Good job. And that's what I do. That's why I named my company New Credit Law. That's all I do. I just study the law. I study the law and represent myself in every case that comes up. Because it's better when you can articulate what they're trying to say against you, when you know the laws. And that's why I created my company to be New Credit Law, because I just studied the laws. In New Credit Law, my company, we use 35 laws to delete debt from credit reports, no matter the amount. So yeah, right. You're right on the nose. And now you can see if you retain a lot of the strawman laws, now you can see why it plays in conjunction with your consumer rights, right? So what I like to review here is the 5 key components of your personal credit report. I put my personal credit report up here so you guys can see different seasons of my personal credit report. I'm okay because a lot of the stuff is not my information on my report anymore, so it's fine to share But the 5 key components of how to understand reading your credit report, you guys, the first one is your personal information. I want you guys to jot that down. The second one is going to be your credit score. The third one is going to be your summary. The fourth one is going to be your account history. And then the last one is going to be hard inquiries. I'm from New York, so I say inquiries. Some people say, what's the other word they pronounce it? Inquiries. Tomato, right? Still the same. But I want to discuss these 5 key components with reading and understanding your credit report, okay? The first one, you guys, again, is your personal information. What is your personal information? Your personal information, you guys, entails, as you can see, your name, your date of birth, your current address, your previous address, and your employers. This is very important. If you're going to hire a credit restoration company, this is very important. Or if you want to work on your own credit, right? The DIY process, do it yourself. If you want to work on your credit report, this is very important with getting debt deleted to your credit report. Why is that? Because when you're investigating debt to be deleted from your credit report, the first thing that they're going to do is check your personal information. They want to see, is this address attached to the bad debt that you're investigating on your credit report? So the rule of thumb is to first contact the credit bureaus and get the addresses removed from your credit report. You can call them up. Hey, I see 672 Lincoln on my credit report. I like this address removed from my credit report immediately. They'll have it removed in a matter of 2 to 3 minutes. This is one of the main things that I usually suggest to consumers or leads when they're going to start with a credit restoration company, because you help out on the process. They give us more kickback because we're not you. We're just power of attorneys, right? We're POAs, we're representing the consumer. But if you remove all these addresses from your credit report and misspelled names, that helps out the process. As you can see, my last name is misspelled, right? This was sometime years ago. Right now, all this is cleaned up. The second area is your credit score. Again, your credit score, I like to say, is a 3-digit number that's attached to your credit report that tells the lenders how much to approve you and what should the interest rate be. Because they can approve you, but they can give you the wrong interest rate according to what they approve you by. So that's why I like to say the credit score is a 3-digit number that's attached to your credit score. As you can see, here's my credit report. I have excellent credit when the lenders pull my credit. You guys see that? When the lenders pull my credit, they see my name. They say, oh, he's excellent. Give him whatever he wants. We can trust him. He's going to pay us back. So as you guys can see, 820, 825, and 836 is my most recent scores. The reason why that's important is because you have to look at the summary. The summary actually breaks down what's happening on your credit report. You guys can actually go to newcreditlaw.com on the homepage. You don't even have to be a client. You can click the Identity IQ link to pull your credit report to get this same exact breakdown. So if you would like to get your credit report pulled to see what's happening and understand it on your own time, by all means, you can do so. I have it on my homepage.
Can you repeat that website so I can drop it in the chat for you?
Yeah, so it's www.newcreditlaw.com, newcreditlaw.com. So if you guys would like to pull your credit report without even being a client, without even scheduling a free consultation, by all means, you can do so. And you can get the same exact breakdown with your own personal information. The reason why they're listing me as an excellent lender, basically give it to Joshua, he'll pay you back no matter the amount, right? Is because of these total accounts. As you guys can see, I have 23, 24, and 13 total accounts on my credit report, right? I have all these positive accounts. I don't have any negative. The negative accounts, you guys, is the delinquent, derogatory, and collections, okay? So when you pull your credit report, if you have anything in collection or derogatory or delinquent, oftentimes 99% of the time, that's a negative account, okay? So as you can see, I don't have any negative accounts on my credit report. The other area that damages your credit score is the hard inquiries. Hard inquiries damage your credit score anywhere from 2 to 15 points per inquiry. That alone would get your application denied. if you have more than 2 inquiries on your credit report per credit bureau. These negative accounts, you guys, again, would destroy your credit or score anywhere from 30 to 110 points per negative account. So let's just say you forgot to pay Sprint when you were in high school, and that Sprint bill is still on your credit report. That one account, you guys, will be reported to all 3 credit bureaus. So don't think because it was deleted off of TransUnion that it was deleted on all 3. No, we have to investigate it on all 3 credit bureaus. That's what credit repair companies are doing whenever you're wondering why the process is taking so long. You may think it's taking long. It may seem as though it's taking long because we have to go after each company. Each company is a different government funded company. They are not government agencies that's owned by the government. They just use that term, okay? They just use that term. Government don't even know these people. The credit bureaus do not work with the government, okay? They're just government funded agencies, meaning that they get money from the government, just like anybody else does. So understanding the inquiries to be removed is very important. The account history, you guys, is basically these 24 accounts that's broken down individually, okay? As you can see, this is how your credit report is supposed to look. All positive, all greens. If you guys have one color that is not a positive on any of this, you have permanently destroyed that account. One late payment destroys that entire account. So you know what 2 and 3 late payments do, right? So that's very important for you guys to know. And here are the inquiries as an example from Equifax. And this is an old inquiry screenshot that I pulled from my old history because I don't have anything. My credit report is perfectly clean and clear. I don't do anything with credit. I just have my name clean because it's big to God, right? It's big to God. And I'm a godly young man. I'm a believer. So I stand strong on God's word. And he says that a good name is rather to be chosen than find riches, and loving favor rather than gold, right? And that's what your name does. Having a good name. Proverbs, I believe it's either, I think it's 22 or 21. He talks about having a good name, right? So that's what great credit is about. It's having a good name, right? You want to have a good name and keep your name clean no matter where you go. So that's very important during the process. And there's different ones. There's soft inquiries and there's hard inquiries. The soft does not damage your credit score, okay? Does not impact your credit score. One of the most common questions I see people ask is, Josh, if I pull my credit, does that hurt my credit score? No, it does not if you're pulling your credit to see what your credit score is. The only time your credit score drops is when you apply for a loan, okay? And that's a hard inquiry. A hard inquiry drops your credit score anywhere from 2 to 15 points. So maybe you went to the car dealership and you let them run your credit. So now you have 15 or 30 hard inquiries on your credit report. That damages your credit score, right? So now you have to get those inquiries removed from your credit report to have a better credit odds on your approval. These are the different tiers of how credit works. As again, I'm here in the excellent range. Anything above a 780 gives you the best rates. I don't care if it's a mortgage, it's an auto loan, it doesn't matter what it is. I see your hand popped up, Kendall. You got a question?
Yes, a few minutes ago, you were talking about inquiries. How long does the inquiry stay on your credit report?
That's a very good question. The soft does not report on your credit report on the area that has to do with loans. It reports on another area of your credit report, which is non-relevant. The hard inquiries, you guys, stay on your credit report for 2 years if you do not get them deleted. Okay, that's very important.
Hey, Josh, this is Jackie Reed. Sorry. The question that I have for you, and you're probably going to cover it. The question that I have for you, are you going to, I never knew that those could come off. I thought they're just there and they're there. I guess you'll address at some point. How do you get hard inquiries off your credit report?
Yeah, any negative, that's a very good question. Any negative information that's being reported to your credit report has to go through the investigation process of either you sending in letters or you hiring a credit restoration company to delete the debt. That's what my company does, New Credit Law. That's what I did for myself before I even started my company. I deleted all of my negative items and inquiries from my credit report. So as Kendall was asking, how long does that inquiry stay on your credit report? It'll stay on your credit report for 2 years if you don't investigate it. But it only damages your score for 1 year. But it will still remain on your credit report for 2 years. So the 1 year really doesn't matter because the lenders, all they care about is seeing a perfect report. They don't care about what happened. You lost your job, you got injured at work, so you couldn't pay. They don't care about COVID. They don't care about any of that stuff. They just want to see a perfect report. So if you have 15 inquiries on your credit report that's been on your credit report for over a year, they still look at that as they're approving your application.
So is it as simple as making an inquiry to get it off?
Inquiries usually take a longer time to remove. I have, like, as for an example, for my clients in New Credit Law, we have a monthly structure where we investigate debt on your behalf. But in my company, depending on how fast you need them off, I have other programs where I help with clients to help delete those inquiries from their credit report in 24 to 72 hours. I have those inquiries removed from your credit report. Obviously a way different program than my monthly clients. But yeah, those items can be removed. So if you have 15 inquiries on your credit report for over a year and you go apply for a vehicle, that lender is still looking at why are you abusing the ability of having credit in less than 2 years, which is damaging the report. The other factor that I want to show you guys here is the data points. Which, as you can see, is the main part of understanding how credit works. You guys can see here 30, 35, 10, 10, and 15. This is how your credit report is calculated by the credit bureaus and by
I'll call you later.
And by the lenders when you're applying for something, okay? 35% of your credit score is by your payment history. Your payment history is what controls the majority of your credit score. How long can you pay your bills on time? Okay. So if you have accounts on your credit report that's been paid on time for 5+ years, great job. Keep it up. I showed you guys one of my histories a second ago where it was all green for only a few years. But as that time continued to progress, that's the number one thing that increase your credit score every month. The next 30% is outstanding debt. Okay. So what that basically means is if you have a $5,000 credit card and you utilize $4,000 of that credit card on that $5,000 credit card, you are damaging your credit score. The rule of thumb that most people teach is pay off or have your credit cards around 30%. I do not teach that at all, okay? Remove that rot out of your head. You guys, keep your utilization down anywhere from 2 to around 6%. For me, I live by 1 to 3%, me personally. But 2 to 6 is just as great. 30% is not good at all. Don't listen to these crazy people that's out here telling us 30%. 30% of any amount of money given to you is a high limit. And that's holding back anywhere from 40 to 80% of your points. So you paying down your credit cards increases your credit score right up. Okay. 15% is your credit mix. Basically means having different items on your credit report, having a mortgage, having an auto loan, having a credit card, having furniture, having jewelry that you're paying on. So that's a mix of credit. That increases your credit score 15%. The last 10% is your credit history length and pursuant of new credit. Basically, if you open up a new account, you can increase your credit score 10% as well. All right. Understanding financial literacy is very important. Now that you got your credit, now that you have your bad debt deleted from your credit report, now let's leverage your credit. Now that we got you out of bondage, let's leverage your credit and make you some money, right? I said this earlier at the beginning of the call. Once the debt is deleted from your credit report, now what? Now that I got the house, now that I got the car, now what? You guys, what I love to teach in new credit law is financial literacy. How can I leverage my credit to make me money? I have Thursday night calls once a month where I educate my clients that after we've deleted the debt, now let's use your score and make you some money. Maybe you want to get out of corporate America. Maybe you'll like to just invest on the side. Understanding financial literacy and understanding this cash flow quadrant is very important. This is what I've done with my life. This is what I continue to teach hundreds of clients globally, how to leverage that. What is this quadrant breaking down saying? This quadrant basically lets you know that each one of us is in one part of this quadrant. Everybody in this world, we're in one part of this quadrant. E is an employee, S is self-employed, B is a business owner, meaning that you have over 500 employees or more, and I stands for investor. I want you guys to take a screenshot of this. This is very vital to your financial literacy. The left side of the quadrant, you guys, pays the highest taxes and will always will. The right side of the quadrant does not. You guys are probably wondering, why does Josh have these years here, right? The years is very significant to your financial literacy because you have to understand how to get from the E and the S side with financial literacy to getting over to the right side to the B and the I. In 1943, prior to 1943, taxes was not paid by the employee out of their checks. And that's very important for us to know. Stewardship is what they allowed us to do. You would pay your taxes at the end of the year or whenever you wanted to, on your own. It was never taken out of your income. In 1943, they passed a law that now, hey, you don't want to pay your taxes? Now we're going to start deducting it out of your checks. Okay, so that's where that came from. 1986 is when the self-employed people who, I like to say S stands for specialized people. So you're good with something, right? Self. So maybe you're a doctor or a nurse. You're good with something that you're specialized with. You utilize your hands. Neurosurgeons, right? Will get one of the highest tax bracket, or athletes or entertainers, right? They have the highest tax. They're in the highest tax bracket. The reason why that's important, because basketball players as well, right? MLB, right? They're using their hands to hit a bat. The highest paid sport. They get hit with the highest taxes. And this is very important to their financial literacy in that process, because though you're talented with your hands and your gift, you're getting hit with the highest amount of taxes. And that's what happens in 1986. They started to, because of the employees were now being taxed in 1943, they were complaining, hey, why are we getting taxed? What about taxing all these people who's really making the big money? So they started to do so with the 401k plan, because the 401k plan was never really a tax structure. As you guys should know, it was an investment vehicle that was created for everybody on the right side of the quadrant. Because if you were making over $250,000 in investments, then that was a vehicle for you on the right side. But because the people on the left side were being taxed and hit hard and didn't have any vehicles set up, they now opened it up to the masses. And then this is why they penalize you such high amount when you're pulling money out of your 401k, because it was never created for you. It was created for the people on the right side. Oftentimes known as the SEC. SEC is basically a Security Exchange Commission, where it's a certain level of investments that they qualify you as to be able to invest. And you get all the best investments that's passed down to you before they come out. So you get the first dibs on everything that the masses see later. Chipotle was been sent out 20 years ago, but we didn't see it until they were setting up shop, right? So that's what the SEC does on the right side. The business owners get that main part of the leverage. The reason why I have the year 1215 up here is because the year 1215 is basically when the trust situation just about started back. A lot of people like to say it really started in the 1000s, but I like to say it started in the 1215 because that's when the Magna Carta was created and really like pushed forward, and that's when the trust and taxes really decreased for people who kings, right? kings who owned the territory, who owned the land. So they were never really paying taxes. And you see that propagated now, right? Where our presidents often say what, or our former presidents would say what? I don't pay taxes. You see Jeff Bezos saying, I don't pay taxes. The #1 company in the globe is not even paying taxes. They're not lying to us. They're just playing by different rules. And that's what this is all about, right? Even with credit, I'm teaching you guys to play by different rules because people will perish for the lack of knowledge. So the I is the investor side, where you can take your income, your earned income, right, on the left side, and then you can invest into things like Turo. After you've cleaned your credit, you can get money from the banks, and rather just purchasing a vehicle for yourself, the I part, you can now invest into Turo and put the vehicle on Turo. Turo is a rental car company platform where you're able to leverage the car that you just bought, put it on Turo, and now make money off of that vehicle. Ken, it sounds like it look like you got a hand, you got a question? Look like your hand was raised.
I was just going to make a comment about those who are in that I quadrant. I have some of those clients who are in that quadrant, and they're 7-figure clients, and they pay less taxes than the clients who are in the E and S quadrants. I have guys who are making over $1 million, and they're paying less taxes than those who are making, say, $100,000 or $50,000.
Yes,
because they're investors.
Yeah.
And actually the IRS rewards them for being investors. So we have all these different tax credits that we use out there to reduce their taxable liability dollar for dollar.
Wow. You guys hear that?
Yeah.
He's a tax guy. I'm not even a tax guy. I'm just financially educated. So I make sure, and it's important, right? You don't have to know it all, but you have to know the people who know it all, right? And that's all I had to share with you guys for today, is how to leverage your credit, cross over to the opposite side so that you can start investing into Turo. You can start investing into Airbnb. You can start investing. I'm a part of a course that is about to be released here in the fall, where we're teaching. We have over 43,000 people right now on the wait list. 44,000, excuse me. And misses always know. 44,000 people on the wait list right now, where we're teaching business owners or coming business owners how to leverage on a 10-week, week by week platform, where if you're looking to start your own business and something that you're skilled at or something you're looking to get into, where you're able to go through that week by week program with us to help you get on your feet and start making money in business. Okay. It's very important for you to leverage your time. Very vital. But I had to cross over. I had to start in the E to get over to the right side, to be able to teach and be able to educate, not just how to leverage your credit, but also business, which is very vital to the process. Thank you guys for having me on.
Well, let's give it up for our speaker on tonight, which did a wonderful job. And I don't know about you guys, but I'm excited. There was some great information that he shared with us on tonight. And we're talking about financially breaking chains off of us that will allow us to be able to achieve those things that we set, that we have goals that we have set for ourselves. A few minutes ago, Josh was talking about having that financial freedom. I just want to put a plug. I have an 18-year-old son. He's been working in my business now for a while, but he's really catching on now. And his credit score, he's 18, his credit score is a little over 800. So at this current time, what he's doing is he's saving up to buy a Tesla, because he's going to go through Turo and he's going to rent that Tesla out.
No, so
he already has a Passat, a Volkswagen Passat, but he's saving up his money to buy a Tesla because he's going to go to Turo in order to rent that vehicle out. And this is his freshman year in college.
That's amazing. And
this is how to break those chains. Yeah, go ahead, Josh.
Kendall, sorry. What I love it, I get excited when I hear stuff like that, right? Because it's real. And what most people don't understand is that this is what our generation is doing to make millions. You know, we're operating on a different level of information. Hand over fist. We're operating on a different level of information because we've gotten rid of the old industrial mentality of working for other people. So when you come to us as millennials, and when people come to us as millennials to talk about a job, we're like, what? We cringe. Here's this 18-year-old with one of the highest scores in the nation, but understands the power of his credit. So not only do he understand the power of his credit, but he's now leveraging it with the number 1 vehicle to be purchased now in America is Teslas, because it's electric and you track everything on your app.
Exactly.
So he can see if where the car is going, if someone try to do something crazy, and then he's going to make so much money off of it. And the best tip about it, you guys, is by putting the vehicle in a popular location. I have partners in Miami who owns like over 30 vehicles. One of their vehicles is like a BMW i8, a very popular vehicle. Makes them anywhere from $200 to $400 per trip per day. If you do the math, 30 days, right? On average is in a year. If you're renting out a vehicle $300 a day and it's booked out for 27 days out of the month, our generation is making money in our sleep. And that's what financial literacy is. We're not working for anyone. We're getting email notifications telling us all day long that we've made $30,000, $80,000 a day. My girlfriend, who's sitting right here, she's way so far ahead of me financially. You know, it's just ridiculous the numbers that she's doing with her financial literacy as I continue to educate. And this is so important to the process of getting that bondage off of you. You can do it. We believe in you, and you have to believe in yourself. An 18-year-old, I love that.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
Man,
I got another client. That's 18. He's at the University of Minnesota playing football. He just flipped his first property.
Wow. 18
years old, just flipped his first property.
And that's very vital as well. So flipping is similar because you need your credit.
Right.
A lot of people think
exactly.
that money. No, you don't need the money. There's things that's called hard money lenders who would give you the money to make money. What flipping is basically, in short, you find a property that you have to renovate. You have to pay, if you have the cash, or what most people do, whether you have the cash or not, is use the hard money lender to give you the difference of the whole money for what you need for the property. After the property is renovated, they upsell the property. So you may have bought the property for $70,000. You maybe needed $30,000 to fix it. So that's $100,000, right, you guys? And they're selling the property that they just fixed up looking nice and immaculate. But now it's $100,000. They're now selling that property for $300,000. And right now, because people are not financially educated, they're buying up all these properties nationally, thinking that they're in a good time to buy property. They would buy that $300,000 property, and now you just made $200,000, maybe like 180 something, because you got to give the money back to the hard money lender and the little couple dollars of interest that he just charged you.
Yeah. Yeah.
That's what
we borrowed the money from his dad. His dad did the renovation work. We took a loan out from his dad. He paid his loan. We did a note. He paid his dad back plus interest, and he flipped the property.
Look at that.
And he's playing football while he's going to school. This is where our young people thinking is at now.
Yeah. Yeah. I'm speaking in a couple of days with my pastor has I'm just at awe all the time. I go to Bishop T.D. Jake's ministry, and he just invited me to be in a business class with Tony Robbins. If you guys don't know who he is, he's a very powerful businessman. And this is what I'm talking about. with our generation that he's well aware of because he's around all of us. Like he loves the kids, you know. The majority of his audience are young multimillionaires, you know, 7-8-figure earners, right? And it's very important to understand the direction that we're all heading in now.
Well, I think Jasmine has her hand up. Jasmine, and then we got a few questions in the chat we want to ask you before you get out of here.
Hi, Josh. This is Jasmine. By the way, really great information that you shared with us. I did have a question though. You mentioned about you have a Thursday night callings. Now, is those callings open to the public or are those like private settings or for particular people?
Hey, Jazz, appreciate you. Yeah, just for my clients. It's a closed group, closed Zoom group for my clients once a month on Thursdays, educating you guys, not just about investments, but also proper structure, everything from taxes, like Kendall was just educating us about, but mainly trust, you know, because it's also very important to have your business structured correctly. One of the main things that I did not know, you guys, when I first formed my corporation was just running with an LLC, right? That's what everyone talks about. And Kendall would chime in. He'll tell you that there's different business entity structures according to the purpose of the business. So if you're looking to even become a business owner and start your own business, and you need to know what structure probably works best for you. I'm also a part of Rich Dad, Poor Dad. Robert Kiyosaki, who's the writer of Rich Dad, Poor Dad, his corporate attorney, Garrett Sutton, who is my partner, he's the one that usually forms my corporations for me. He sometimes jumps on the call and starts to educate about how to properly structure your corporations. But one of the things that I've really leveraged, you guys, over the time of learning investments is really understanding the correct trust to have. So that not only am I having my privacy hidden, which is very important more than ever, right? Privacy in America is like at an all-time high because it's always being stolen. Identity theft is very big, even in the credit restoration industry. I think it's like 70% now identities have been stolen or utilized for things that you have not done, right? So that's very important. So we dive in and we discuss how to structure things like such. I don't even use LLCs so much to even start my companies anymore, meaning by backing it with my own name. I now go with my trust and how I leverage my trust, removing myself as the member on the LLCs for things that I'm doing, not just for privacy, also for deferring taxes as well, because depending on how the trust is structured, you can defer your taxes through the trust and avoid probate, which is very big if you're looking to leave an inheritance to your children's children, which is very vital. But yeah, it's usually only opened to my audience, paying clients, because they're investing in themselves, right? And I want to make sure that I'm bringing on the heavy hitters to educate my community, because we're the only credit restoration company that does that. You know, the clients is just going through a process where they're either getting notified about debt being deleted, but that's it. That's just the beginning. After you got your scores up, now what? Let's keep going. Let's create generational wealth. And let's do this as a team and as a family.
I have one question for you, Josh, that's coming out of the chat. It's by Jeremy Howard. It says, how do we get on your waiting list for your program?
That's a very good question. My best suggestion for you guys to join for the waiting list is DCR, digitalcourserecipe.com is the website, digitalcourserecipe.com. And you guys can join the waiting list. Then the enrollment is opening up pretty soon. We have not released the date yet of when the enrollment is, but once you go to the website, you'll be able to join the waiting list. And you're going to have an automated email sent out the day that we open enrollment. We usually cap off because it's usually over 1,000 people enrolled in less than 10 minutes. So we're trying to, thank you. Appreciate it, Crystal. We're trying to expand it a little bit. We've been battling back and forth due to the amount of people that's on the wait list. The wait list has recently grown over 17,000 people in less than a week of people ready to jump out there and become entrepreneurs and learn and leverage their skill. Where the digital course recipe is basically that we're teaching you digitally how to take your skill set and turn it into a course to start to break the chains and make money. If you follow Ashley Massengill on Facebook, she has over 170,000 people following her, where she has receipts listed on her page of people that has taken her course, just finished literally 2 weeks ago. She usually only does it once a year because, as you can see, the wait list is ridiculous. But I've been pressuring her. We got to help a lot of people out and not just educate them with credit. So half of the class is going to be credit restoration, where I'm teaching you how to repair your own credit. And then the other half is going to be, now that you got your credit, now let's leverage it for business and get you up and running to start making money.
Josh, one other question from the chat. You stated that we could go to your website and actually pull our credit. One of the viewers wanted to know, would that be considered a hard pull or soft pull if we are pulling our credit from your website?
That's a very good question. Remember, when you're pulling your credit, it does not impact your credit score in a negative manner, okay? It only impacts your credit score when you're applying for a loan. So if you go to newcreditlaw.com, you scroll down on the homepage, it says like Identity IQ. It should be option number 2. You click that link and it said, get your 3 scores now. You'll be able to get your credit scores there. All 3 credit reports and those 5 key components, the way that I broke it down there for you guys to be able to pull your credit report. So you can review your credit report and see what's going on. And if you would like to get a free consultation, there's a link on the homepage as well, where you can click the link and one of my agents would be more than gladly to assist you, point out what I just point out of how I repaired my own credit, the negative things that was in those collections and the derogatory areas to get those negative items removed from your report.
Before we ask you a couple more questions, guys, I just want to announce that, we've covered a lot of good information on tonight. And again, Josh, thank you for taking time out of your busy schedule to come and just to present to our organization. I also want to remind those who are new or just joining us for the first time that you can go out to www.dfwmetronwaacp.org and follow us there. We're going to have several of these events going on. Hopefully we can start having these going on a monthly basis where we're understanding how to break the chains of financial bondage, right? Because if we can break that, there's so much more we can do. I just want to put this one plug in there. I know through our company, we were able, of course, because of COVID, there were several government loans that were out there and grants that were available. And a lot of small businesses couldn't get those grants because the financial part, they didn't have the financial knowledge part. But we were able, in that process of that short window, we were able to get their financials in order. And a lot of them went on to get loans from the government anywhere from $500,000 and up. So that it's power in knowledge, right? And it's extremely a lot of power in financial knowledge. And so we just want to encourage all the viewers who are here tonight and participating on this call that, reach out to Josh or go out to our website. We'll have information posted out on our website about our organization, the NAACP, and the great things that we're doing in the community. This is one way that we can build our communities, right? This is one way we can build our own communities. So I just encourage you guys to do that. Are there any more questions that we have? Do we have any more raised hands? Anyone else have a question? I see Pat is coming off mute. Oh, no. Okay, Pat's hand is up.
Yeah. Oh, hi.
Go ahead.
Okay, so it so happened, I've never really engaged in a conversation about establishing your business as a trust. It just so happened today, I was in a conversation with lawyers and we're talking about holding companies. I have about 3 businesses that I've already established. Well, 2 that I've totally established. And the 3rd I'm trying to establish as the primary umbrella. So they introduced to me the language of holding companies. So you mentioned trust. So I know this is not the call for that, but is it your office that I will have that conversation, or is it with Kendall? Because I'm not sure of the roles.
No, that's a very good question. Yes, so there are different layers for the trust, but what I would suggest is let me know when you guys are ready, or I can drop it in the chat. Chris.
So as Josh is dropping it in the chat, as he was saying, there's different layers. What you want to understand with these different type of entities, you want to understand the laws behind the entities. And when Josh was making for a reference to a trust, you're more in that stealth mode. You're more hidden from the public. So you really want to understand your entity. You want to understand your entity from a accounting standpoint and also from a tax standpoint too as well, and how that entity is protecting you too as well. Because we do a lot of asset protection too, protecting your assets. We do a lot of that too as well in our company, but you also want to understand that as a business owner, how do I really protect my assets, right? We also look at ways that, someone may come to us and we find ways to pierce the veil, right? You may have an entity, but we try to find ways of piercing the veil. We do forensic accounting. We've tried to find you commingling funds or not adhering to the state guidelines or the federal guidelines, any way that we can pierce that veil of your company to be able to get to your personal assets. And if you're a C Corp, we'll lock you up as a shareholder. We try to find a majority shareholder. We're coming after the person of the company that has money. But that's another call. That's a different topic. And I think Josh is going to drop some information in the chat about that too as well. Are there anyone else? There was only one question per person, yeah. Pat. No, I'm just kidding. Go ahead.
You play too much, Kendall. Stop. No, I just wanted to say this, and this is definitely not a part of this call. I shared this information with a lot of my friends. I said, so my son-in-law is going to be hosting this event tonight, so you have to listen to it. So I claimed your person as my second daughter, who definitely inspired me with everything that I do. Josh, that was a conversation to you.
Oh,
yeah, because I was like, who was she talking about?
Oh, that's amazing. I'll definitely let her know. She ran out on a call. I guess I forgot the lady's name, who you guys will probably know her. She's like one of the first Black, not just Black, but one of the first billionaires, women billionaire, for building a corporation.
I could tell you her name.
Yeah, what's her name?
1 second, I have to look it up too. But
yeah, Janice, right? Janice Howard. I don't know how to pronounce her.
I'm listening to you and not that platform. I'm in here with you.
Yeah, I appreciate it.
I think April Langston had her hand up for a question, and then we'll turn it over to our president, Crystal Bates.
I thank you for the time tonight. Has been amazing. I have a family member here from New York, and my uncle, and he was talking about, just real estate and a lot of things, financial. But one of the things he was talking about was, is it possible? He was talking about real estate trusts, and that you can, within a family, establish a real estate trust. And that way, if things happen, then they can't just, because the conversation started about what's happening and what's been happening to so many people of color across the nation, losing their properties, one thing or another. And if there's a way to have a trust or some way to preserve that asset of, land or homes or whatever, is that?
That's a very good question, April. Yes, definitely. And I love that you brought that to this platform as a question, because most people don't know that they have, the privilege to do so, right? There's 3 different types of trusts that I would probably suggest. I dropped their website in the chat a second ago, which is the company that I utilize to form every trust that I do. I literally created first my family trust. So that you can get a family trust, you can get a charitable trust, and you can get a business trust. Outside of those 3 different ways of getting trust, there's other trusts. Everyone does a trust different ways. but it really just breaks down to the tax code. The type of tax code that is really what matters on how you structure the trust. So if you guys go to trustup.biz, that's the company that I utilize to obtain my trust. And one of my first trusts that I did was a family trust, which is around the question that you was asking, April, about obtaining assets and putting my assets like housing and things of such sort in that family trust. Lord willing, he promised me 120 years on this earth in Genesis chapter 6. So I'm holding to that word. Well, let's say, it doesn't happen that way, right? And he calls me home earlier. They won't have to worry about a will or having to go to court and fight over probate over things that is mine. Because the way that I have the trust structured, it won't be an issue, right? It won't be a back and forth with the court. I also just orchestrated and co-partnered on a deal with Floyd Mayweather. He has a fitness gym, which he has now created. And I did the same exact strategy with the fitness gym. But that is not under a family trust. That is now under a business trust, right? So there's different strategies according to the trust that you're structuring. But for real estate, by all means, I literally just called the CEO of that company and I said, hey, I'm looking to buy a very, very large house. So obviously I want to create a trust and put the trust under this large house, right? And he was like, yeah, sure. This is definitely easy and can be done. So understanding how the structure is everything, right? Structure is everything to make sure that it's correctly benefiting you, because it's about the benefits that you're obtaining for each structure of the trust that you utilize. And again, more than anything, the tax code that's backing up the trust really is what differentiates every trust that is formed.
Thank you so much.
No problem.
Jacqueline Reed had her hand up, and Crystal, you gonna?
Hi there. Thank you again. Really, really great information. I'm so glad I joined. This is knowledge that is a lot of it is new to me, but I really came on the call because of my interest in understanding how to strengthen credit. And you've really just opened the conversation up to really start my husband and I to thinking even more. But a very fundamental question. I'm looking at the website, New Credit Law. And I'm seeing just kind of, I think this is Who We Are maybe page. And it says FICO, TransUnion, Equifax, and Experian. And I know that Joshua, you had TransUnion, Equifax, and Experian listed on your earlier slides. Can you explain, and I'm sorry it's such a basic question maybe to others on the call, but can you explain FICO as a fourth one you have listed on your website?
I'm happy you asked. That's a very good question, Jacqueline. That is not a basic question at all. So that's a very good question. Thank you for asking that. FICO is another monitoring company that tracks your real credit score. Okay. They usually charge a little higher compared to the company that I partner with, Identity IQ, which is on my website. I have it at a discounted rate, which is where I suggested for you guys to go. FICO usually charge like $35 to $40 something to pull your real credit scores and numbers. If finances is not a problem to you, by all means, go to myfico.com and obtain both. You can use Identity IQ for the consultations with my team, but you can also go to MyFICO to have your real scores when you're ready to apply for any loans. 80% of the lenders use MyFICO's credit score to approve or deny your application. So that is what MyFICO is used for. So that is a very good question. So the reason why I have it on the About Us page is because when it's time for you guys to apply with the lenders, you need to know who the banks are looking at, right? They're not looking at Identity IQ. They're looking at MyFICO. So what we usually suggest clients is when it's time to purchase the home, when it's time to leverage your credit in business, you have your trust set up, you're making money in your business, and now you want to leverage your personal credit and your business credit to get whatever you're after, whether it be housing, a vehicle, Turo, Airbnb, doesn't matter what the investment is. Now you use your MyFICO score to see what they're saying right before you apply. So I never really suggest anyone to pull their My FICO credit score until it's time for the application process.
Okay.
Inquiries, you have collections, you have derogatory information on your credit report, your score does not matter. We got to fix the root cause first before we actually pay attention to where the score needs to be. So that was
okay. And then you talked about earlier when you pull your credit report, you said there's soft credits, and you said there's no nothing that would happen negatively if you ask for your own credit report. Is it a soft pull to get a My FICO score? Is that the same as the other three that you talked about earlier?
That's a good question as well. So so when you guys are pulling your credit report from these monitoring credit companies, it does not damage your credit score. Okay. So that would be not a soft or hard, because you did not provide them with your full social security number. Only when you provide someone with your full social security number, that oftentimes will damage your credit score. That's usually a hard inquiry. Getting your credit report just to review your financial status debt-wise on your credit score does not damage your credit report. There's a lot of monitoring companies out here, but security is what's important to me with the way that this economy, with the direction that we're heading in with privacy. As you guys can see, Equifax, if you're not aware, Equifax actually had a data breach back in 2017 and heading over into 2018, which disclosed a large amount of our information. Facebook consistently continues to be sued for the same reason, for privacy. The list goes on and on with a lot of top corporations that does not take our privacy very serious. So I utilize Identity IQ because they actually have a $25,000 identity theft policy with their program, which is why I partnered with them for credit monitoring purposes.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Mr. Joshua Grayson. And thank you to everyone that tuned in. This has been such an amazing evening, just a wealth of information. And I would like for Mr. Vice President Kendall and Madam Treasurer Monica somebody mentioned about things being left willed in the East Texas area. Throughout Texas, we have a lot of people, like you all said, that have air land. And I noticed there was another organization this week that offered a forum talking about how to maintain and not lose that air land. So I would love for us to put that on the agenda to maybe have a forum that specifically addresses that airship, that land, that, you know, making sure that people are informed of things that they need to know concerning that. Again, thank you to Mr. Joshua Grayson. And also thank you to all of our wonderful attendees tonight, our visitors. If you are a fabulous and amazing member of the DFW Metro NAACP family, please raise your hand, wave or something. And while they are raising their hand and waving, I also want to acknowledge our amazing officers who are very supportive. They don't just wear titles and go boast about that and showboat about that. They are active and supporting our organization, and they're also out in the community serving as well. And I make sure that they do. And they probably want to block me at times and throw me out to the wolves. But I love them. I do. So we have, again, Mr. Vice President Kendall Marshall, our Madam Treasurer, Ms. Monica Miller, also our Mr. Second Treasurer, Dr. Jack Henderson, is also on the call. And so I really appreciate our officers tuning in. And also Monica and Kendall, if you all, one of you all can stop me and announce your upcoming meeting, because you have a meeting on Monday. And I would like for you to let everybody know that. And again, I've stated for you all to get connected, as Kendall stated, that we will offer more platforms, forums like this in the future. So make sure you connect with DFW Metro NAACP.org so you can get tied in for that. Monica or Kendall, if one of you want to announce your upcoming meeting.
Sure, I'll jump in, Crystal. We have an economic opportunity team meeting next Monday, August 30th at 6 p.m. It will be virtual via Zoom as well. So we have several people who have expressed interest in, supporting economic initiatives that impact our communities. And so we're going to, spend about 30 to 45 minutes. So we won't hold you long, but we do just want to kind of game plan on some initiatives that we'd like to accomplish balance of this year and how we can do so and align ourselves with the national NAACP platform. So we welcome any and all people. If we've connected with you in the past, if we're just meeting you for the first time today, we welcome you to come and join our committee, and we hope to see you Monday at 6 p.m.
And you all, I apologize. Can somebody get to the Facebook page quicker than me and grab that flyer with the details as to how they can connect with that meeting? If you could drop that flyer in the chat. I can't put my hands on it quickly enough. So if you all could do that, well, let me see. I'm sorry, y'all, give me a second. All designs. There it is. Okay. So yes, and then like I said, if you connect with the Facebook page, you'll see it there. I mean, the Facebook page or either our website, and we will send that information. Okay, there it is. I'm gonna drop it.
It would be, if you're on our mailing list, it's also in the past newsletter that just went out a week or so ago. It's there. It's in the Facebook group. It's in, if you're connected to our group meets, it's in there as well. So yeah, you should be able to find the info.
Okay, and I just dropped it in the chat. I did it.
Thank you.
So yes, please grab that, save that out the chat. There are details there. No need to delay us anymore. Thank you again to Mr. Joshua Grayson, and thank you all for attending, and you all have a blessed and amazing night. Make sure you are wearing your mask. I want you all to be safe. I'm not going to ever skip the opportunity to encourage you all to be safe. I do care about your health and your safety. Educate yourself on the vaccine, whether you choose to take it or not. Wear your mask, okay? I love you guys. Take care and have an amazing evening.